Hi everyone, the entire cast of Full House here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Solange Knowles album, A Seat at the Table. Solange, singer-songwriter, producer, younger sister of Beyonce, returning once again to add an album to her kind of inconsistent discography. Every few years Solange seems to reappear out of the blue to release another record with an entirely reinvented sound and style, whether it be from her 2003 commercial debut, which took more of a radio-friendly R&B approach, then moving later to the kind of futuristic R&B and pop blend that she would drop in 2008 with that record Solange. And then in 2012 with the EP True, which was mostly produced by Devonte Hines of Blood Orange fame, she was putting together some very ethereal pop and soul music. But in 2016 with A Seat at the Table, she returns to toy again with the sounds of neo-soul, R&B, and pop, and her sound is still relatively laid back, but there is a strong and underlying political message that links many of these tracks together. In the recent past, Solange's music hasn't really left much of an impression on me, much of it just being a little too faint and spacey. And while she also takes a subtle approach on this new album as well, there is a newfound elegance to her singing and to the instrumentals on this record that I found to be pretty stunning. Solange seems to find some great power in this incredibly hushed and calm, soulful music. The nimble bass lines and very gentle string sections, the rich pianos and easygoing rhythms on this record all come together really nicely. The instrumentals are quiet, but they're not so skeletal that there aren't little details that you can eat up in them. They're refined enough to have intricacies, but they're not overworked to the point where they lose their natural groove and feel super stiff and lifeless. And the songwriting and the production credits on this thing is like a serious who's who of pop music, of hip-hop, of soul music. We have Raphael Saadiq, we have Q-Tip on this record, David Longstreth of Dirty Projectors fame. Questlove is in the mix as well, and there's just way too many to name. There's a lot of people going into this thing, but this pretty diverse array of talents come together to create a pretty consistent and uniform album. The flow, I will say, though, is a little odd given that many of the tracks on this thing are a series of what sounds like interview clips conducted with a variety of people, one of them being Master P, who I have not heard from in years, but it's kind of cool to hear him on this thing, all talking about issues of race and culture, black empowerment. A lot of the politics in Solange's music are plain as day in her lyrics, but it just doesn't hit you over the head as a listener because her tone of voice in a lot of these tracks is so soothing. Listen to the song Fubu, where essentially she's talking about cultural and racial boundaries within art, within music, talking about certain artistic expressions, specifically this one, being specifically for black people or being a celebration of black pride. Or with the song Don't Touch My Hair, which is obviously in reference to the much blogged about microaggression. Solange on this track is framing her hair as her emotions, her crown as this personal thing that it isn't for someone else, especially someone, a white person specifically, to be coming over and just asking to touch as if it's like something to just be casually curious about. The stress of racial tensions in America seems to be dominating Solange's every thought on this record, whether it be on the song Mad, where she's singing about her constant state of anger over issues like police brutality and the like, even though inadvertently she's kind of also singing about how much of a wet blanket she is as she's mentioning people who don't seem to get why she's so angry. There's also a semi-goofy Lil Wayne verse worked into the track that I do in a way commend, because he does stay on topic. He does kind of flow into the theme of the track pretty well. Solange's vocals on this cut are surprisingly passionate too, and the stuttering groove of the track, the choppy piano chords, as well as the kind of odd vocal harmonies, which are very nimble, just jumping all over the place, were clearly a work of David Longstreth, and I went into the liner notes of the record only to confirm that pretty quickly. The song Cranes in the Sky seems to be an extension of this same madness, this same stress that she's singing about, but she's trying to bury her blues in buying clothes and sleeping and reading and having sex, all of which is set to some pretty gorgeous strings and a very slick drum beat. But even though this is a social and a political fight that she feels the need to pay attention to or take part in, on the song Borderline, she illustrates her need to take a break from it every once in a while with these lyrics right here. And then there are points on this record where she takes the political and she turns it personal, like on the Cut Where Do We Go, which is a reference to her family having to move from their hometown, which was sparked by her father getting stuck in a salt mine, her family having to pull him and someone else out, and then the mine only rehiring part of her family back, which created tensions, like a split in the family. Solange does pick up the mood of the album a little later though, like on the track Junie, which is sort of this upbeat, playful fight song of sorts, which features this Jackson 5-esque funky piano bass breakdown on the hook, which is complete with some falsetto vocals from Andre 3000 singing "Jump on it." This track, Where Do We Go, Cranes in the Sky, all kind of come together and make for some of the boldest instrumentals on the record. But I enjoy many of the subtle cuts off this record as well. Not just one of the big singles from this thing, Don't Touch My Hair, but also some of the opening cuts like Rise and Weary, which kick the album off with a very mysterious and almost eerie mood. The only songs on here that I'm not that enamored with are the ones whose instrumentals awkwardly blend elements of soul, funk, and electronic music, like on the song Don't You Wait, whose beat sounds super flat and, I don't know, kind of robotic, considering just how human and silky the vocals topped with this instrumental are. And the song Don't Wish Me Well, while I really like the intro to this track, what sound like pump organ chords were really doing a great job of setting the tone. Solange's vocals on this track sounded great too. But as the track developed, these kind of thin, echoey, bouncy guitar lines kind of entered the mix, and they're super kind of tinny, and to me sour the mood of the track altogether. But the rest of the record here is pretty beautiful, tasteful, pleasant. Given my experience with Solange's music in the past, I expected myself to be kind of bored, but I actually wasn't. There's actually an interesting juxtaposition going on between the music and the lyrics, a lot of the instrumentals being so serene and blissful, while the lyrics address some seriously rough social topics, and angry and fed up feelings personally coming from Solange herself. And while I may not always agree with the mindset that fuels the politics of this record, much of it is pulled from Solange's personal experiences, which honestly I can't really argue with, and I don't really hear anything all that disagreeable about the lyrical content of the record or many of the interviews that segue one song to the next throughout the album. I actually think a lot of it's pretty inspiring, even if I don't directly identify with the identity politics of this record, because the themes that Solange references of pride and self-empowerment and being the change that you want to see in the world are all pretty refreshing. And I can't really deny that a great deal of this record is well written, well performed, and well produced too. And I guess I can unequivocally say that this is Solange's best album to date as well. So even though maybe it is a little too easygoing at times, and I don't find Solange to be the boldest of vocalists out there right now, I had a really good time with this album. I think it's a beautiful record that I have no problem saying that I feel a strong 7 to a light 8 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best. You're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like. If you like, please subscribe. Please don't cry. If you hate my thoughts on this Solange record, there's some things next to my head, some videos, subscription, the website. Click on them. Click, click, clickety, click, 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 click. I hope you guys are doing well. Get a good night's sleep. Bye.